Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be talking about the Golden State Warriors and the timeline of their amazing dynasty. Throughout the past 6 or so years, the Golden State Warriors had been the best team in the NBA, usually crushing every single team that stepped in their path in the playoffs. And the guy who has been behind all of it is sharpshooter Stephen Curry, who won 2 MVPs in this crazy run, and he has just been the piece of the Golden State Warriors that has led them to wins throughout his career. It felt fun to watch the Warriors every single season during this run until, it wasn't fun anymore when they were crushing every single team by 30 points. But Stephen Curry, Andre Iguodala, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, and all those guys were so fun to watch in their top tier years together. Curry consistently averaged about 25 points per game every single season, and the Warriors consistently averaged about 60 wins a season. And in my opinion, I think the Golden State Warriors are the best dynasty the NBA has ever had. But enough of me talking, so let's get right on to the video. It all started back in 2015 when the Golden State Warriors were coming off a season after a very lackluster season after they lost in the first round the previous year in 2014 to the Los Angeles Clippers. But the Warriors made some great adjustments that year to give them a spark. And one of those was giving Andre Iguodala the bench 6th-man role, and he flourished in that role. Another was unleashing Draymond Green, who had the best season of his career that season, and honestly was the reason why the Golden State Warriors won the championship, in my opinion. The Golden State Warriors easily cruised through the regular season and had a record of 67-15, the number 1 seed in the Western Conference and the best team in the NBA, while Stephen Curry won the NBA MVP award. The Warriors easily beat the New Orleans Pelicans in the first round series of the playoffs in 4 games, sweeping them after Stephen Curry hit incredible shot after incredible shot. And there was one game in the series, Game 3, where they were down 25 points but came back to a win because of Stephen Curry's game-time shot in the 4th quarter. The Warriors then faced the Memphis Grizzlies in the second round, and they were down 2-1, but eventually won in 6 games after Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson put on a dominant performance. Then came the Houston Rockets series, where a young James Harden was hungry for the championship, but Stephen Curry and the Golden State Warriors stopped him and squashed the Rockets in 5 games. Then came the finals, where Stephen Curry did not play well, but Andre Iguodala did and ended up winning Finals NBA MVP after the Golden State Warriors won to the Cleveland Cavaliers in 6 games and won at the Cleveland Cavaliers home arena and the championship winner. The Warriors entered the 2015-16 season with tons of confidence, considering they just came off a season where they were 67-15 and won the NBA championship. And the 2016 Dubs proved to be no different, but even better. The Golden State Warriors piled up a rack of wins and only lost 9 games that year. So they finished the season 73-9, of course the first seed in the Western Conference. They ended the regular season with a bang after they won to the Memphis Grizzlies in their 82nd game of the season to give them a 73-9 record to beat the Chicago Bulls record for the most wins in an NBA season by 1. The Golden State Warriors once again met the Houston Rockets in the first round of the NBA playoffs, and Stephen Curry put on a show, but then got injured in the series. But Golden State still put on a dominant performance, beating Harden and the Houston Rockets for the second time in a row and advancing to the second round of the playoffs. The first team they played after that was the Portland Trail Blazers, a team who had barely any experience with the NBA playoffs, and that showed as Stephen Curry returned in Game 4 and was dominant, and they won to the Portland Trail Blazers in 5 games. Now, Damian Lillard did put up a valiant effort, but Stephen Curry and the Golden State Warriors destroyed him almost every single time and would not let him catch the ball, resulting in a Golden State Warriors series win in 5 games. Then came the conference finals, where the Dubs faced off against OKC, and the Golden State Warriors were struck down to an early disadvantage as the Golden State Warriors were down 3-1 in the series, and they knew that only 10 teams had ever come back from that at the time. So the Golden State Warriors won the next 3 games, and if it wasn't for Klay Thompson in Game 6, we wouldn't be having this discussion right now. And then they made it to the finals, but we all know what happened, and the Golden State Warriors blew a 3-1 lead after blowing a 3-1 lead from the Thunder and winning it, but the Cavs won in 7 games after Stephen Curry's horrible performance in Game 7 versus the Cavs. And right after a season when the Warriors went 73-9, they felt like it was okay to go get Kevin Durant, the best scoring machine in the entire league, to improve their chances of winning a championship. And this is the moment when people got mad at the Golden State Warriors, because they were already one of the best teams basketball has ever seen. And adding KD would for sure win them a championship. And people were right, because when the 2016-17 NBA season started, the Golden State Warriors were unstoppable, winning game after game and casually won games by even 35 points night in and night out. Coach Steve Kerr did a great job of implementing Kevin Durant into his system, and Durant had one of the best seasons of his career, averaging 25 points per game and leading the Golden State Warriors, and some even argued that Durant was a better player than Curry that season. But then in the middle of the season, something bad happened as Kevin Durant went down with an injury, and the Warriors lost about 5 games in a row, but then Stephen Curry realized he was the MVP of this team and took over. They went up in the first round to a Portland Trail Blazers team and easily beat them in 4 games. They swept the Utah Jazz in 4 games and then easily beat the San Antonio Spurs, and then matched up again with the Cleveland Cavaliers and beat the Cavs in 5 games. But if they beat them in 4 games, that would have been a record for the least playoff games ever played. But the Golden State Warriors had officially become a dynasty at that moment. But the 2017-18 season for the Warriors was a bit different, in the sense that they had the worst season in their dynasty's history and just went 54-28 and were riddled by injuries. As in the middle of the season, Stephen Curry went down with an injury, Kevin Durant went down, and even Patrick McCaw, who was a bench player for the Warriors that season, went down with an injury, and it felt like nobody could come to senses. But then, surprisingly, in the 2018 NBA playoffs, everyone was fully healthy, and in the first round, they faced a San Antonio Spurs team that had struggled tremendously in the regular season and had the worst season in years, barely squeezing into the playoffs. But the Warriors easily won in 5 games, even without Stephen Curry, as he sustained an injury. And then in the second round, Stephen Curry came back against the New Orleans Pelicans, and Steph went insane this playoff run, as he averaged incredible numbers, and the Golden State Warriors beat the New Orleans Pelicans in 6 games that series. The Warriors would beat the Rockets in the Western Conference Finals after a tough series where the Warriors went down 3-2, but then won both Game 6 and 7 from clutch performances from Kevin Durant and Stephen Curry. Then came the NBA Finals, where the Golden State Warriors swept the Cleveland Cavaliers, and this was really the moment where the Golden State Warriors were considered the best NBA team of all time after winning the last 3 out of 4 2024 NBA Finals. And this is where things take an unexpected turn, because in the 2018-19 offseason, they got DeMarcus Cousins and built a 5-man super team. Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, and DeMarcus Cousins were all playing for the Golden State Warriors now. The Golden State Warriors season started out full of promise, but that would soon end after Kevin Durant and Draymond Green got in fights, and the Golden State Warriors could not sustain winning much longer and had one of the worst seasons in the franchise's history of the dynasty. It was another season for the Bay Area that was filled with injuries, mainly injuries in the playoffs though, but man were they bad. Curry put on a show that year, and the Warriors finished the season the first seed in the Western Conference after going 57-25. The Warriors faced the Los Angeles Clippers in the first round, a series where Kevin Durant and Patrick Beverley would go after it against each other, but the Golden State Warriors would eventually win in 6 games. In the second round, the Warriors once again faced their arch-nemesis, the Houston Rockets, but after some clutch shooting in Game 6 by Klay, they were able to sneak out a win. They swept the Portland Trailblazers in the Western Conference Finals after an easy series win, and then they went up against the Toronto Raptors in the NBA Finals, but would lose in 6 games after Kawhi Leonard and the Raptors destroyed them at home, 114-110 in Game 6. In the 2019 offseason, the Golden State Warriors acquired D'Angelo Russell, which was supposed to be a great team, but we knew things were going to be bad from the start once Stephen Curry got injured and broke his hand and was out almost the entire year, and Klay Thompson was already out from an ACL tear from the previous NBA Finals. And that left a lot of guys like D'Angelo Russell and some other young players on the new Warriors core to create. And it did not turn out well, as the Warriors ended up being the worst team in the NBA and had a horrendous record of 15-50, and was definitely the worst season of the Golden State Warriors in even the past 20 years. Things got so bad that the Warriors even had to trade D'Angelo Russell in the middle of the season, and it did not work out because the Golden State Warriors were not invited to the NBA bubble, although Stephen Curry did come back for 1 game but then got the flu. But in the game he played versus the Toronto Raptors, he played tremendously well, but the Golden State Warriors season that year was definitely a failure. And then came the 2020-21 season, and this was the season that Stephen Curry ultimately broke out of his slump after being injured for the past few seasons, and Stephen Curry put up an incredible stat line of 32 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists per game. And Stephen Curry was putting on a show that season, putting on game after game, and even had a game that year where he had 62 points. But the rest of Steph's team was performing horribly, and the Golden State Warriors ended the season as the 9 seed after losing both games in the play-in tournament. And even though the season came up just short, Stephen Curry probably had the best season of his career last season, even though he didn't win NBA MVP. It was honestly one of the most interesting seasons of Stephen Curry's career, and a hard year to recap considering Steph had the best season of his career and led the NBA in scoring and points per game, but his team came up quite short. And not to mention, in the 2020 draft, the Golden State Warriors drafted James Wiseman, who does have a sliver of hope for the franchise and could possibly be the future of the Golden State Warriors. Andrew Wiggins, a guy they acquired in the 2020 season, had a great year and put up 20 points per game, becoming a defensive player, and he was not usually known to be a defensive player, actually a horrible defensive guy, but he turned out to be a 3-and-D guy and put up some great stats and even averaged a block a game. And then that brings us to the situation we are in today, where the Golden State Warriors have been piling up wins like they did in the 2015-16 season, as they are a 9-1 record, as the first seed in the Western Conference, and a bunch of their players this season have been breaking out, including Jordan Poole, who has had the reputation for being the Golden State Warriors' third splash brother now. And even though Klay Thompson is not back yet, this team is playing insane. So once Klay Thompson does come back, the Golden State Warriors are probably going to be one of the best teams in NBA history and could be the best version of themselves this past 5 to 10 years. This was the story of how the Golden State Warriors were a dynasty in the 2015 season and the 2016, 17, and 18, and even 19 year. And then they had a struggling period after Stephen Curry and a lot of their other stars got injured. But it looks like they have finally found their rhythm again, because the Golden State Warriors are on an incredible win streak. And it's all thanks to Stephen Curry's dominance. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Click subscribe, turn notifications on, like, share, comment, all the good stuff. And as always, I'm your boy Hyper Hooper Basketball, and we're out.